You've done the work. You've healed. You've built boundaries. You've mastered self-love. You have your morning routine, your non-negotiables, and an incredible life. But there's one uncomfortable truth no one's actually talking about. Self-love and self-sufficiency are not the same thing. And if you're confusing the two, you're energetically pushing your soulmate away. Today, I'm showing you 5 signs that you may have crossed that line and how to actually come back. Hey, I'm Michelle Chung, a personal mastery coach and author of How to Stop Dating and Be in an Effortless Committed Relationship. And I help high-achieving, successful, independent women meet their soulmate without dating. So today we need to talk about something that's going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, because there's a version of self-love that the wellness industry has sold us that's actually keeping us single. Now, before you click away, hear me out. I'm not saying that self-love is bad. I'm not saying boundaries are wrong. I'm not saying you should shrink yourself or be less or settle or go back to tolerating bad behavior. What I am saying is this. There's a difference between being whole and being walled off. There's a difference between having boundaries and having barriers. There's a difference between self-love and self-sufficiency. And a lot of us, myself included at one point, we've crossed that line without even realizing it. And we've become so good at being alone that we've been unavailable for a partnership. We've become so independent that we've closed ourselves off to interdependence. We've become so focused on not needing anyone that we've forgotten how to want someone in a healthy way. And our soulmate, he's out there, right? But he can't get to us because we've built a fortress around our heart and we've called it self-love. So today I'm going to walk you through the 5 signs that you may have confused self-love with self-sufficiency. And if you recognize yourself in any of these, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It just means it's time to soften. It's time to open. It's time to make space for the love that you say that you want. So let's dive in. Sign number 1. You've built boundaries that have become walls. And I know this one's going to sting a little because you did the work. You've read the books. You went to therapy. You've learned to say no. You stopped tolerating bad behavior. You created healthy boundaries. And that is amazing. That's necessary. And that is self-love. But somewhere along the way, those boundaries may have become walls. You're so protected that no one can actually get to you. Your boundary around texting first, it's become a wall that prevents connection, because now you're sitting there waiting for him to reach out, testing him, keeping score, when you just actually really want to talk to him like a normal person. Your boundary around not being vulnerable too soon, it's become a wall now that is probably keeping intimacy out. You might be 3 months in and he still doesn't really know anything about you. You're still performing, you're still guarded, you're still protecting your energy. Your boundary around not making yourself too available, well, that's become a wall that makes you seem disinterested because you're so busy proving you have a life that you're not actually present when you are with him. Now, here's the difference. Self-love creates boundaries that protect your energy. Self-sufficiency creates walls that protect you from love itself. So boundaries are flexible. They're about what you will and you won't tolerate. They're about respect, reciprocity, and alignment. Walls are actually rigid. They're about keeping people out. They're about controlling and fear and protection. And if you're honest with yourself, you know which ones you built. So ask yourself, are my boundaries protecting me from bad behavior? Or are they protecting me from being vulnerable? Because one leads to healthy love and the other leads to loneliness. So sign number 2, you think needing somebody means that you're not whole. This is a big one. Because you've done the inner work, you've healed your wounds, you've become whole on your own, and now you wear your independence like it's an armor. I don't need a man. It's become your identity, your mantra, your badge of honor, your sisterhood. And listen, I get it. I've also spent years losing myself in relationships, and you spend years thinking a man might complete you. That's how we grew up, right? And you've done that work now to break that pattern. But now, here's what no one tells you. Being whole doesn't mean not needing anyone. It means being secure enough to want someone and admit it. Your soulmate isn't coming to complete you. You're already complete, but he is coming to expand you, to support you, to share life with you, to be your partner, your teammate, your special person. And that requires you to need him in healthy ways. It's okay to need his support when you're overwhelmed. It's okay to need his perspective when you're stuck. It's okay to need his presence when you feel lonely. It's okay to need his love when you're hurting inside. That's not codependency. That is a healthy partnership. That's interdependence. That's what healthy love looks like. But if you've convinced yourself that needing anything from a man means that you're not whole, you're going to keep him at arm's length. You're going to reject his help. You're going to push away his support. You're going to prove over and over to yourself and to him that you don't need him. And eventually he's going to believe you. He's going to leave because men don't want to be with women who don't need them, not because they have fragile egos, but because they want to feel valued. They want to feel needed and useful. They want to know that they matter and can contribute to you and your life. So self-love says, I'm whole and I desire partnership. Self-sufficiency says, I'm whole, so I don't need a partnership. So one of them invites love in and the other one keeps love out. Sign number 3. You're so focused on loving yourself, you've closed off being loved. Your calendar is full. Yoga on Monday, therapy on Tuesday, meditation every morning, journaling every night, girls' night on Friday, solo travel on the weekends. You've become so good at filling your own cup that you've stopped leaving space for someone else to pour into you. You're not available on Friday nights because that's your sacred self-care time. And you can't do spontaneous dates because it disrupts your routine. You can't travel with him because you already have your solo trips planned out. And you're saying no to these spontaneous invitations that turn up in your life. You've optimized your life for one, and there's no room for him to fit. So here's the thing. I'm not saying you should abandon your self-care. It's been amazing. I'm not saying you should drop everything for a guy. I'm not saying you should make him your whole world. But I am saying this. If your life is so full that there's no space for love to enter, love isn't going to enter because partnership requires a flexibility. It requires spontaneity. It requires being willing to adjust your routine, shift your plans, make space for someone else's needs and desires in your life. And if you're too rigid in your self-care that you can't do that, you're not actually practicing self-love. You're practicing self-sufficiency. Self-love creates space to receive love. Self-sufficiency fills every space so love can't even enter. So think about it. When was the last time you let someone else take care of you? When was the last time you accepted help without feeling guilty? When was the last time you were vulnerable enough to admit that you needed help and support? And if you can't remember, that's your sign. Your soulmate wants to love you. He wants to support you. He wants to show up for you, but you have to let him. You have to make and create space. You have to soften yourself enough to receive. Sign number 4, you've become known for being alone. You post so much about how you love your own company, you talk about how peaceful your life is without the drama. You celebrate your independence like it's the end goal. Don't get me wrong, being comfortable alone is super healthy. It's necessary and it's a sign of your personal growth. But if you've started to prefer being alone, if you've started to see partnership as a threat and a compromise to your peace, if you've started to believe that being alone is better than being with somebody, that's not self-love. That's actually fear. Because here's the truth. The right partnership doesn't disrupt your peace. It deepens it. The right man doesn't create drama. He creates safety. He doesn't complicate your life. He enhances your life. He doesn't take away your independence. He will actually support it. But if you've convinced yourself that being alone is superior to being partnered, you're going to sabotage every relationship before it even starts. You're going to find reasons why he's not right. You're going to focus on what you're giving up instead of what you're gaining. You're going to compare the reality of partnership to the fantasy of your perfect solo life. And you're going to stay alone. Not because you haven't met the right person, but because you've closed yourself off to the possibility that partnerships could actually be better than being alone. Self-love says, I'm happy alone and I'm open to partnership. Self-sufficiency says, I'm happy alone, so I don't want a partnership. One is empowered, the other is protected. Sign number 5, you're waiting for a man who doesn't need you either. This last one is the kicker. Because you've become so self-sufficient that now you're only attracting men who are equally self-sufficient. You want a man who has his own life, he has his own friends, he has his own hobbies, his own routine, right? A man who doesn't need you for anything. A man who's completely whole and independent on his own. On paper, this sounds really good. But in reality, two people who are so self-sufficient separately don't create a healthy partnership. They create a parallel existence. Because you're both so independent that you never actually need each other, you never lean on each other, you never create interdependence. And eventually, one of you is going to ask, what's the point? Because partnership isn't about two whole people existing side by side. It's about two whole people choosing to intertwine their lives together. That's interdependence. To need each other, to want to depend on each other, to build something together that neither of you can do alone. Self-love attracts a partner who's whole and willing to be vulnerable. Self-sufficiency attracts a partner who's whole and unavailable. And if you're being honest, you've been choosing unavailable men because you're unavailable. So the question is, are you ready to soften? Are you ready to need someone? Are you ready to create space? Are you ready to let love in? Because your soulmate is out there, but he can't get through those walls that you've built. Now, if you're watching this and recognizing yourself in any of these signs, first of all, take a breath. You're not broken. You've not done anything wrong. You've just got a little too good at protecting yourself, and that's okay. So the beautiful thing is that you can soften, you can open, you can come back to true self-love, the kind that makes space for a partnership. So if you want support with this and you want help dismantling those walls and opening yourself up to the love that you deserve, I want to invite you to work with me. I help high-achieving, successful, independent women meet their soulmate without dating. And part of that work is learning the difference between self-love and self-sufficiency, learning how to be whole and also available and open-hearted, learning how to build those boundaries without building walls. So if this resonates with you, book a clarity call with me. The link is in the description below. On that call, we're going to talk about where you are right now, where you want to be in this year, 2026, and whether we're going to actually be aligned to work together. So there's no pressure, there's no pitch. We're just going to have a really honest, down-to-earth, casual chat about your love life and what's keeping your soulmate away. If this video resonated with you, please hit subscribe because I post new content pretty regularly about creating that love, the life, and the relationship that you deserve.